Genesis chapter 22 verse 7. And Isaac said to Abraham, my father, and he said, here I am, my son. Isaac said, see, here are the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt sacrifice? Abraham said, my son, God himself will provide a lamb for the burnt offering. So the two went on together. 13. Then Abraham looked up and glanced around, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering and an ascending sacrifice instead of his son. So there is a question. Where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Abraham and Isaac are going to offer a sacrifice to God. They were climbing a mountain. They have traveled for 3 days. So Isaac was a young man. He was in between 15 and 20 years old. And he was a teenage boy. And he asked a question, fire is here, wood is here. Where is the lamb? Abraham had thousands of lambs. He owned thousands of lambs, but he never brought a lamb. Because God told him to sacrifice his son, Isaac. But Abraham never revealed it to anyone, to his servants, not to his servants, not to his son Isaac. His servants, they never dared to ask this question. They might have thought themselves, our master is going for sacrifice, but no lamb. Many times Abraham had sacrificed to God. So Abraham used to bring lambs, rams, oxen, etc. But this time Abraham is going empty-handed, just wood and a knife and fire, everything is there. But no lamb, no animal to be sacrificed to God. Servants, slaves, they thought themselves, but they never dared to speak. But his own son, a teenage son, Isaac, asked a question, Daddy, where is the lamb? And Abraham answered, God himself will provide a lamb. God himself will provide a lamb. So Isaac accepted his answer. So they have reached the top of the mountain. And Abraham was about to sacrifice, about to cut Isaac. God stopped him. And God told Abraham, this is a test. I simply tested you. Don't do that. And when Abraham looked up and glanced around, and Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked. And behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns. And Abraham, God never told Abraham, you sacrifice a ram for me. God never asked Abraham. God asked you sacrifice your son Isaac. Then God said, no, stop it. This is simply a test for your faith. Stop it. Cancel that sacrifice. God never asked you sacrifice an animal for me. But Abraham himself, even though he is the owner of thousands of animals, maybe lakhs of animals, but he was unable to bring even one animal because God demanded his own son as sacrifice. So he came without an animal. But now an animal is needed. He simply, what was his faith? according to Hebrew 11, his faith was like this: I would kill Isaac, I would sacrifice Isaac, but God will bring him back to life because God has promised through Isaac that all the families of the earth will be blessed. So God would bring Isaac back to life. That was what Abraham expected. Abraham never expected an animal will be needed. Abraham never expected, never imagined God will stop sacrificing Isaac. So an unexpected need arose. The unexpected need arose. So when he looked up, he owns thousands and lakhs of animals, but not here. They are 3 days away. He had money, lot of money in his hands. He had a lot of gold and silver in his hands, but he cannot buy an animal on the top of the mountain. So he had everything, but he needed an animal. Not because he was in lack, not because he was poor, but an unexpected need arose. He was simply managed and answered. God will provide the lamb simply. But God provided a ram. God provided a ram, a better one. Lamb is a small one, but ram is a big one. It's a better one. God provided a better one, more than what he confessed. He had to look up. So I'm wondering, he looked up, but the ram was behind him. Then he looked around. He glanced around. He looked up and glanced around. What a beautiful wordings. He looked up and glanced around. Glance is it's not a deep look. Glance is not a sharp look. Abraham looked up. He looked sharply. He looked deeply upwards. But he glanced around. He didn't look deeply. He didn't look sharply around. There was a ram behind him. He found that and sacrificed to God. Of course, we can look around, but not deeply, but not sharply. We have to look up. We have to look sharply and deeply upwards. Then our need, unexpected need, will be provided. Amen.